Oh, welcome to a really weird episode of the Muni Report. As you can see, we're not together this week as it is the Christmas weekend, and we just couldn't get together this week. It's a very short week. The Browns come off a tough game against the Raiders, losing on a field goal late in the fourth quarter. It's a tough pill to swallow because it's a game they needed, but it just seemed like, they just couldn't put stuff together. And with the amount of people on the COVID list and the injuries that we had, it was a tall task to ask of the team. The team still played very well. Nick Mullins was out there, had a pretty solid game, had a passer rating about 86.7, 109 yards, 20 of 30, and a touchdown pass. He had no interceptions, and I just thought it would have been better if they went and kind of opened up the playbook for him. Given that he only had 2 days to prepare for the Raiders, it was acceptable, but they need to stick to the run a little more. It would have been nice if they would have changed the pace a little bit with D'Ernest Johnson instead of sticking the load on Nick Chubb. I believe he had about 30 carries himself. He went out there and had a good ball game, but he really had to really squeak out every single yard. To end the second half, they had the opportunity to kick a field goal, and just to put points on the board before halftime definitely would have helped. They went into halftime 10-0, and Chase McLaughlin missed the field goal, and has been very telling of his season, where it's kind of reminds you of Cody Parkey, where you need a field goal and you look later on in the game and you're like, damn, we could have used that one. I think it was, kind of like the Baltimore game from a couple weeks ago in Baltimore, where he missed a very clutch field goal that probably would have changed the course of the game. Instead of it being a 6-point game, it would have been a 3-point game. And then this on Monday, it's rather it being a 1-point game with a minute left, it's a 4-point game, and you have to force the Raiders to score a touchdown. And the way the Browns' depleted defense played, they were able to put together a couple stops that, made this game very close. And it sucks that they lost this game, but you could somewhat call this a moral victory. You got to be proud of what your team did. I can't really put it on the players. I think it's more so another theme of this year is, injuries and bad play calling. There was plays that were there and they left out there. They weren't able to get a rhythm on offense. They had probably about 5 to 8 drives that amounted in only 1 yard, if not even getting to positive yards, which is no bueno. They were too conservative once again, and it's kind of getting out of hand at this point. At that point in the game, you had nothing to lose. When I think of those kind of plays, I think there was a lot of situations where you couldn't go for it because they're on the wrong side of the field. The field position wasn't really there for you, and the Raiders were having a hard time moving the ball. But that last possession for the Browns, it was 3rd and 3, and everybody and their mother knew you were going to run the ball there. So I think maybe work a little play action bootleg probably would have worked, but that's why they get paid the big bucks, and I'm here making YouTube videos. But going forward, we got a game on Christmas Day. We are in last place in our division. We're in 12th place in the conference, so it's going to be a very tight run for the playoffs. It's not completely diminished, but it is dwindling away. And really, all you can do is win. Ideally, you could lose this game and still have a chance at the division if everything goes your way. But that just makes it very hard for you. You're just asking favors from other teams, and you don't want to do that. You go into Lambeau Field, one of the best fields to play in, stadiums to play in the NFL. It's Christmas Day, so people are going to be hyped. You're going up against one of the greatest of all time in Aaron Rodgers, who's been having another MVP season. So you got to find a way to shut him down, on top of finding another great player in Devontae Adams and shutting him down. The Packers' offense can really do just about anything. They got one of the better offensive lines in the league, but they are subject to give up a couple sacks a game. I believe they gave up about 6 last week against Baltimore, which is a big number to look at for just one game. And I think one guy you got to key in on this defense is Myles Garrett. Once again, he's a 50-50 chance to play. And given that you lost Hack McKinley and you might not even have Jadeveon Clowney this week, you don't have Greg Newsome, it's going to be a very, very tough game to win. You got the odds stacked against you. The Packers are 9-point favorites. But really, I think it starts on the defensive side of the ball. You got to pray that the Packers are on an off day, and you got to be able to shut one part of their offense down. Their run game is pretty solid, and Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. If you can shut that down, kudos to you. But that passing game against this defensive secondary, with all the injuries and the COVID list players, it's going to be a tough game. Offensively, you really don't know who you're going to put out there this week. We're still waiting on word for Baker Mayfield or even Case Keenum. But at this moment, it's Nick Mullins getting the start. I believe they have one more day to test, and that's tomorrow. So we'll find out then. But I know the players on the COVID list that are have the possibility to play are going to be flying out separate than the team. So that's, something to look forward to, I guess. You got to ask a big game out of Nick Chubb once again. You got fingers crossed that Jarvis Landry comes back this week, and maybe you can get another big game out of Donovan Peoples-Jones. It's going to be a very, very tough game. This Green Bay defense is very good against the run, and they're top 5 against the pass. So they're solid on both sides, both aspects of defense, and they really know how to get after the quarterback. And the Browns have been struggling on top of the injuries, and it's a simple fact. Between bad play calling and injuries, this team just has not had any time to build a rhythm. And you can sit here and point fingers and whatnot, but that's just what it is. Baker hasn't been healthy, but he also has not been playing his best. Nick Chubb he's had a great year, but he's had to fight for every yard this year. The offensive line is usually a pretty good point of this team, and in the run game at least, but offensive, in the pass game, they've given up way too many sacks, where Baker's one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league, which is a very big crisis of this team. And just, you got to find someone that can be that new weapon for you, that new threat. You don't have Odell Beckham anymore, even though he didn't do much for your team. I guess he's more of like your threat more than anything. Teams were worried about what he was going to do rather than the rest of the team, which I guess that's the one thing he did great for this team, but that doesn't very matter anymore. So this week's going to be a rough one, so I'm going to make this quick and short. I really don't have any more cowtails to throw out there. It's probably about the same as this past week. Myles and Nick Chubb, got to get them the ball. Myles got to make a couple plays for this team to get going. You know what? And I'll even say Donovan Peoples-Jones. He had the ability to really put the team in a good position last week, but one big drop, which really could have changed the course of the game. They would have been able to get at least field goal range at that point. And then it just killed the momentum for the team. And I'm not going to put it all on DPJ because he's a great player, and usually he makes that play. So I think he's going to bounce back this week and make a couple more plays. I think he's got the ability to be a number one on this team. We'll get into off-season stuff after we get through this season, because this season is a pain right now. Just to close out this video, it's going to be tough to even say that the Browns are going to win this game. It's hard to feel confident, but the NFL is very weird this year, and you never know who's going to win a game. For crying out loud, the Detroit Lions blew out the Arizona Cardinals this past week. So, who knows? That being said, I'm going to have to go with the Packers here in a very stressful game. I'm going to say 31-21. Aaron Rodgers is just going to be Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to just pick apart this Browns secondary that is just depleted right now. They don't have the depth, and you don't even know if you have Myles Garrett this week. You don't have John Johnson or Greg Newsome, so it's going to be a really tough game. So that being said, I hope everybody has a great holiday. Mike's going to be editing this. He couldn't be in this video. Didn't want him to edit on Christmas, which is reasonable. I wouldn't want anybody to be working on a holiday, so screw that. This is just a side project that's for fun. Let's just buckle in for the rest of the season, and hopefully they can go out there and get one in Lambeau Field. And on that note, go Browns, and thank you for watching Week 16 of the Muni Lot Report. Oi.